Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm Logan Landers, your host and producer this afternoon. And joining me to talk about Troy Fautanu, offensive tackle out of Washington, the very talented, the very well-groomed, as you can see by the beard, Jason McMinn with the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Jay, tell the folks how you're doing today, and most importantly, tell them your thoughts on Troy Fautanu coming out of Washington and where you think he could land in this NFL draft.
Yeah, I don't think he moves far. Honestly, I think he moves right over to Seattle. I think Seattle's going to pick him up. I think this draft is going to be mainly offensive linemen, quarterbacks, and a few standout wide receivers thrown in, and maybe one or two defensive linemen. I'm supposed to see this draft, and because of that, you got to think Seattle. They're trying to rebuild that organization, rebuild that team. They lost some players. Gino's going to need more protection, so I think Fautanu will come in. He's a nice plug and play. He can play the guard or he can play the center. Good length, quick, tough, very flexible. I think he makes a very versatile piece for that newly led Seattle Seahawks up there.
No, for real. And what I like about this guy is, as you mentioned, he's already got the prototypical build for offensive lineman coming in already, 6'4", 317, junior out of Washington. Is this big man on the left-hand side, left tackle is what he played. 2023, Jay, as a senior, he saw action in 13 games, played 845 snaps in total, allowed 15 quarterback hurries, 2 hits, and 2 sacks at the left tackle position. And we know Washington, we know what they did this past season, right? They were right there, right at the cusp of getting a national championship. Couldn't quite do it. And we already know who he is protecting, and that is the superstar behind center, that was Michael Penix Jr. So didn't allow a whole lot of pressure on him. Obviously, there's some room for improvements, but no one's perfect, as we know, in the league. But I think that overall, when you look at the competition he played, as well as just when you look at his strength, obviously he's a big guy. He's got good athleticism as well, which is what we're seeing more and more of offensive linemen. He also got very good mobility, Jay. He's not going to be just kind of lumbering around with heavy feet. No, he's got quick feet. He's got a good first step, which is huge in protecting your quarterback. He's agile as well. Really is better in pass protection than I would say in run protection, just because that's the style of ball they played at Washington, and he excelled. He did a really good job. This is a guy who, is probably, I would say, at least a top 5, if not top 10, then for sure top 10, if not top 5 offensive linemen in this draft, just because of how well he is. Like I said, offensive-wise, he is definitely better in pass pro, which is, I would say the dominant trait for offensive schemes in the NFL as opposed to running nowadays. But you have to have some good running mobility as well, running blocking, which he's solid with also. But you mentioned Seattle, man, and I think Seattle's definitely a team who is in that rebuild stage out there in the West, and they're just trying to get over the hump, right? We saw them not this past year, but the year prior, take some good steps, but this year kind of came back down to earth a little bit after some, a lot of moves made in the offseason and now with the upcoming draft. It's never a bad idea to kind of, I don't know if I'd say start the rebuild, but continue it then by shoring up your offensive line for many years to come. And I think that Troy Fautanu, he's a guy who would fit well in that system, in that scheme, and would do well protecting Geno Smith. I also think that, if you get him around a bunch of other veterans on the O-line, that always helps out as well. And we know Seattle has a really good history of offensive tackles. So I think that Troy Fautanu, man, I think he's a solid player all in all. And I'm sure he would love to not move very far, to stay out in Washington in the area and move over to play with the Seattle Seahawks. But it remains to be seen. Jay McLovin, what's your final thoughts on Troy Fautanu, a guy who had a lot of awards in 2023 and is now going to be moving on to the NFL draft?
Yeah, you definitely got him high up on your draft board for draft offensive lineman because of his versatility and his injury. He doesn't get injured a lot, and he's very versatile. And those are two huge things to have in the offense when you're playing in this league. So I look for him to go pretty high.
No doubt we will see where Troy Fautanu lands, but that was our opinion. We want to hear yours in the comments section, Facebook and YouTube, main 2 platforms. Check us out every single week, and also set your calendars because April 25th, that's a Thursday night. That is draft night. We're going to be doing live reaction, live coverage of the show, kicking off a little bit earlier at 7:30 to give our initial pre-draft reactions. And then once it kicks off, Jay, we are going to be coming hot and heavy, man, talking about who all is going where. It's going to be a great time. So once again, set your calendars, April 25th, live kickoff, live NFL draft reaction show. And we're looking forward to it. Well, for my guest, Jay McLovin, thanks so much for coming on, man. I've been your host, producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you on another